Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you guys are new here, my name is Nkenna. I am responsible for everything that goes on here. As you guys can tell from the title of today's video, we are going to be doing another nursing myths video. So let's go ahead and jump right in to today's topic. Today's topic, common myth that you may have heard, people may have told you, whether it's in clinical, whether it's in nursing practice, or I don't know, wherever you heard it. But the myth of today is I should work 1 to 2 years in Med-Surg before I go into ICU. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you this is false. This myth is false, and I say this as someone who went straight into ICU as a new graduate nurse. Honestly, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you, do whatever you're interested in. I don't believe in this whole ideology of you need to work in a field that you have no interest in or that you hate in order to move up the ranks, so to speak. A lot of old school nurses, and just not necessarily old school nurses, but there are a lot of nurses who have this mindset that you need to work in Med-Surg because it helps you build up your skills and all of these other things. And once you work 1 to 2 years of Med-Surg, then you can go anywhere. And even a lot of professors, a lot of clinical instructors, even a lot of nurses that served as preceptors for us in nursing school, if they found out maybe we didn't get a job in ICU straight out of school, they were like, well, you can work 1 or 2 years and then transfer to ICU. And I feel like that's just like a band-aid response. Just going off of my experience, again, I told you guys, right out of school, I started working in ICU, still currently work there, and I only plan to work in an ICU as long as I am a bedside nurse. When I was in school, I worked as a tech, a patient care technician. Before I went to nursing school, I was a CNA, and while I was in nursing school as well, I worked as a student nurse extern. In all of those positions, I worked Med-Surg at some point. So there was one hospital that I worked at as a CNA. I had 10 to 12 patients a day, and I didn't like it. The nurses had 8 to 10 patients, and I wanted no part of it, is what I'm trying to say. I'm getting so flustered even thinking about it. At another hospital, I worked as an extern, and some days I would have 4 to 6 patients, but most days I would have 6 to 8 patients as an extern, and the same thing goes for the nurses. The nurses would have anywhere from 6 to 8 patients, and I didn't want to do that. And fun fact, for my senior practicum, I actually did not get ICU placement. I did my practicum it's almost a year coming up. I did it in January and February of 2019. And luckily I got all my practicum hours in before the pandemic started kicking students out of hospitals. I finished my practicum on February 13th of 2020, and I worked primarily on a surgical unit. It was a cute little unit at a small outside branch hospital. The main branches are in the city, but I was out in the suburbs. A lot of people routinely would just come in for back surgery. They'd be there for a day. The next day they go home. They're discharged home. So saw a lot of back surgery. So what would we call that? Ortho-spine type of unit, ortho-spine Med-Surg unit. I really learned a lot, got really good practice with admissions. I got really good practice with discharges, delegation, time management, most definitely. I learned a lot about medications. It was really good experience, even though I had no interest in going into Med-Surg. So I think that yes, there is something to be learned from Med-Surg. However, I just don't like this mindset that if you're not interested in something, you have to do it because that's the way that people in the past did it. I definitely don't think that people should go by that mindset. If you're not interested in Med-Surg, don't go seek out a job in Med-Surg for 1 to 2 years and then be miserable for 1 to 2 years, because that's how people end up saying, I hate nursing, and leave the practice. So I think if there's something that you're interested in, like labor and delivery, mother baby, if you're interested in peri-op, if you are interested in peds, go directly into that. Try and get a job in that. And definitely there is no shame in applying for safety net positions. If you want to apply for a Med-Surg position, definitely. I know that there are people who are passionate about Med-Surg that only want to go into Med-Surg, and there is something for everybody. That's one of the beautiful things about nursing. It is so diverse, and like I just said, there is something for everybody. I will say that when I was interviewing for positions, I had a lot of unit managers telling me that they actually prefer to have new grads in the ICU because it's much easier to mold them into what they want them to be as an ICU nurse. Whereas it's much harder once you've been a nurse for, let's say, 5-10 years, even 1 or 2 years. It's harder to change those habits that you formed in another department and mold you into the nurse that they want you to be. As a new graduate, you don't really know anything other than textbook and school nursing, so it's a lot easier to make you this picture perfect, so to speak, ICU nurse that they want. And the final thing that I'll say about this is long term, working Med-Surg does not align with any of my career goals, so why would I waste 1 to 2 years working in a field when I know that I'm going to ultimately have to obtain ICU experience? And if I could go into grad school or do whatever it is that I want to do 1 to 2 years earlier, why would I not just do that? So that is all that I have on this topic. If you guys want me to go over any other nursing myths, or if there's a nursing myth that you want me to talk about, definitely leave it down in the comment section below. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to rate, comment, subscribe, like the video, give it a thumbs up, and I'll catch you guys later. Bye.